Hello dear students, how are you today? I'm really glad to see you again. I am Jainagusha Nazarovna, your English teacher, and today we will talk about past continuous tense. Look at this picture now. What are the boys doing? You are right, they are playing tennis. So these are Mark and John, and yesterday they played tennis. So they began at 10 o'clock and finish at 12 o'clock. Now my question is, what were they doing at 11 o'clock? Yes, you are right. They were playing tennis at 11 o'clock. So, were playing is past continuous. We have talked about past simple on our previous lessons. And today we will talk about past continuous tense. So we use past continuous to talk about an action that was continuous at a particular time in the past. An action that was going on, continuing. So in this example, the time is 11 o'clock. Let's go back to our picture. Mark and John started playing at 10 o'clock and they played till 12 o'clock. So at 11 o'clock they were playing tennis. The second name for past continuous is past progressive. We do past continuous using was-were, past simple of the verb to be, plus verb, plus ing. For example, was playing, were jumping, was eating. We have some spelling rules. Most of the verbs in past continuous have only ing. Play plus ing, playing. Go plus ing, going. Or cook plus ing, cooking, etc. Some of the verbs end in e. These verbs are a little bit different in past continuous. Look at this example. Drive. Drive ends in e, so we delete e and add ing. It becomes driving. Let's look at another example. Make. Again, make ends in e. We delete e and add ing, and it becomes making. So this is the second spelling rule. Now look at the third one. Some of the verbs end in vowel and consonant. Consonant, vowel, consonant. For example, run. In this case, we double the last consonant. Double N plus ing, running. Let's have another example. Chat. A is a vowel, T is a consonant. We are adding one more T, double, and ing, chatting. So we have running and chatting. Now, let's practice adding ing to the verbs. So here we have 8 verbs. Your task is to add ing forms. Let's do the first one together. Sing. Do we have e in the end? No. Do we have vowel and consonant? No. So we are not doubling and we are not deleting e. It becomes only singing. Please try to do the other parts yourselves. I think you have already finished doing this task. Let's check together. Number 2. Take. The last letter in this verb is E, so we are deleting it and add ing. Taking, rain. Vowel, vowel, consonant. So we change nothing. It becomes just raining. Wait. Like in the previous example, we just add ing. Have. Have ends in E, so we delete E and add ing. Having. Chat. Consonant, vowel, consonant. So we double the letter T and it becomes chatting, double T. Where? Nothing changes. We just add ing and do. Do plus ing, doing. Good job. Now, let's learn to form affirmative sentences. What is the structure of affirmative sentence? What do you think? Let's learn together. So, to make affirmative sentence, we need subject plus was were plus verb plus ing. So here is the first example. I was walking. I is a subject. Then we have was were. Then we have were plus ing. Walk plus ing. The second example. He was reading. He was verb plus ing, reading. Next one. She was drinking. And the last one. It was running. So if we talk about the dog, we can say it was running or a dog was running. Okay, now look at these subjects, please. Why do we use here was? Why not were? Because the subjects are in singular. I is only one person, he is only one person, she is only one person, and it is only one person. So with singular forms, we use was. Let's talk about plural forms. They were driving. They, or we can say the boys. We were eating. I and my friends were eating. You were writing. So in plural forms, we use were. In singular, we use was. In plural, we use were. Good job. Now, let's talk about the negative forms. In negative form, we have almost the same structure. Subject plus wasn't, weren't, or the long form is was not, were not, plus verb, plus ing. For example, I wasn't walking, or he wasn't reading, or she wasn't drinking, it wasn't running. And the plural form, they weren't driving, we weren't cooking, you weren't writing. Now please repeat after me. I wasn't walking. I wasn't walking. He wasn't reading. He wasn't reading. She wasn't drinking. She wasn't drinking. It wasn't running. It wasn't running. Now let's practice saying the plural form. They weren't driving. We weren't cooking. You weren't writing. Good job. Very good. So we have learned forming affirmative and negative sentences using past continuous. Now it's time to practice. But before it, look at this picture, please. Do you know this person? This is Alan Robert. His second name is Spider-Man. And do you know this place? Petronas Towers. Now we are going to talk about this person and this place. Let's go. Alan Robert is 48 years old and he loves tall buildings. Your task is to read this text and to complete it using past continuous forms of the verbs in the brackets. Let's do the first one together. Look at the verb in brackets, walk, and look at the subject, I. So what do we usually use after I? We use was plus walk plus ing. So the first one is, I was walking across a bridge near Petronas Towers one day. So try to do the other parts yourselves. Okay, let's check your answers. The second one, they were very quiet. They, pay attention, it's negative. They weren't talking. The third one, they were looking at one of the towers. One more, he was climbing up the metal wall. And again, he wasn't wearing a helmet or special clothes. Then I realized he wasn't using ropes. Good job. So check your answers and correct your mistakes. Now please read this text again and we continue practicing past continuous. Your task here is to read the sentences and to complete them with was, were, wasn't, weren't. Are you ready to check your answers? Nice. Let's do the first one. In this photo, we were visiting Mexico City. Number 2. Mohammed wasn't reading a magazine in class. He was studying. Number 3. Look at this holiday video of my sister. She was swimming in a lake. Next one. You weren't listening to the teacher. You were looking at your mobile phone. Good. I wasn't wearing a sweater yesterday because it was very hot. Pay attention here. We are using negative form because of the meaning. It was very hot. And number 6, they weren't cycling through Poland in June. They were driving. So we cannot say they were cycling because they were driving. Nice, good job. Okay, so we have practiced using was and were. We have learned adding ing. Now let's try to make affirmative and negative sentences. Look at the example. We have some phrases here. I walked across the park and yesterday. Your task is to use past continuous. I was walking across the park yesterday. I was walking across the park yesterday. Please try to do the other sentences yourselves. Let's check your answers now. Number 1. The correct sentence is Dina was playing football an hour ago. Number 2. It's quite long. So they were climbing down the mountains at 7 o'clock yesterday evening. Number 3. She wasn't skiing this time last Saturday. Number 4. Naomi and Paul were swimming half an hour ago. Naomi and Paul were swimming half an hour ago. And number 5. It wasn't raining this afternoon. Now we can make affirmative sentences and negative sentences in past continuous tense. But how do we ask a question in past continuous? To make questions, we use was were plus subject plus verb plus ing. Were you listening to the teacher yesterday on the lesson? Interrogative form of past continuous. So here are the examples. Was I walking? Was he reading? Were they driving? Were we cooking? These are yes/no questions. What about the question word? How can we make questions using question words? You are right. First of all, we have question word. Then we have was, were, then subject, then verb, then ing. Here is the example. What were you doing yesterday at 5 o'clock? Or where was he reading a book? So how can we give short answers? Was he reading? Yes, he was. Or no, he wasn't. Pay attention. When your answer is negative, the verb is negative. So in no, you have wasn't. And you are using the short form. No, he wasn't. Look at the second example. Were they driving? Yes, they were. No, they weren't. Again, the question starts with were, so in the answer we have were or weren't. Good job. Now let's try to make questions in past continuous. You are given some phrases. Look at the first example. They have lunch 2 o'clock. And you are writing a question. What is the question? We have they, that's why we are using were. And the question is, were they having lunch at 2 o'clock? Pay attention that we also have question words. So good luck, you can do this exercise. Have you finished? Let's check your answers. Number 2. We have the question word here. What is it? Who. So the question starts with who. Who was Mia talking to? The third one, again we have a question word. What were we doing in class last week? Number 4. Was it raining yesterday afternoon? Number 5. Why were you climbing up that big rock? And number 6. Was Sam eating dinner at 8 o'clock? Now we know how to form questions too. And it's high time to practice pronouncing the questions and sentences correctly. Now listen to the sentences and repeat, please.
1. I was sailing. I wasn't sailing. 2. You were running. You weren't running. 3. He was climbing. He wasn't climbing. 4. They were walking. They weren't walking.
Very good. Now your task is to listen to the other sentences again and circle the correct word. Let's listen the examples first.
We were skiing in France.
James wasn't watching a film.
So in the first sentence he says were, so we are circling were. We were skiing in France. And in the second example he said wasn't. James wasn't watching a film. That's why we circled wasn't. Now please listen to other sentences and circle the words.
We were skiing in France.
James wasn't watching a film.
1. He was swimming across the river. 2.
We weren't cycling on holiday.
3. I was having a great time. 4.
You were using the laptop last night.
5. It wasn't very hot yesterday.
Great. Let's check your answers. Number 1. He was swimming across the river. Number 2. We weren't cycling on holiday. Number 3. I was having a great time. Number 4. You were using the laptop last night. And number 5. It wasn't very hot yesterday. Good job, guys. Very good. Now, look at this photo, please. It was taken yesterday at 5 o'clock. There are a lot of people on this picture. Your task is to describe what were they doing yesterday at 5 o'clock. What was she doing yesterday at 5 o'clock? She was doing her homework or she was writing something. Dear students, you may have different answers. Okay? So let's look at the second picture. What were they doing yesterday at 5 o'clock? They were having a party or they were dancing. Look at the next picture. What were they doing yesterday at 5 o'clock? They were learning English or they were studying. Great. Let's look at this picture. What was he doing yesterday at 5 o'clock? He was reading a newspaper. Good. Next person. What was she doing yesterday at 5 o'clock? She was playing the guitar. Nice. What was he doing? He was talking on the phone. Great. What about this person? What was he doing yesterday at 5 o'clock? He was repairing his car. And I guess this is the last one. What was he doing? He was playing the flute. Good job, guys. Well done. So this is the end of our lesson. Thank you for your attention. See you. Goodbye.